16 of the best teams from around the world have joined us here at the newly minted Blizzard Arena in Burbank, California, where we will kick off our opening week of the HGC Finals. Hello and welcome. My name is Kevin Michael Johnson, and I will be your host for the next 2 weeks of Heroes of the Storm esports action, where we will look to crown a global champion. It all starts right now as we kick off 4 days of group stage play, and then next weekend, a single elimination bracket where we will crown a champion played on the infamous Blizzcon stage at the Anaheim Convention Center. I will not be alone to escort you through all the action. Joining me, of course, is our illustrious panel of experts and analysts, with the man accusable for the classiness of the HGC at the helm. Kylaris, how's it going over there?
It's going very good. Thank you very much, Cloak. And always a pleasure to be joined by one of the main voices of Heroes of the Storm here for the HGC Finals. And he's totally right. Over the last 10 months, all of these teams have been building the foundations to lead up to 6 play days. 16 teams fighting for $1 million. We'll get down to the nitty-gritty in just a few moments' time, but it is sure to be an excellent tournament in just a few days. To my left, I am joined by Skimmy, Grubby, and Dreadnought to start things off. HGC Finals leading up to BlizzCon. Gentlemen, starting with you, Skimmy. Excited to be here.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a fantastic opportunity for all these teams. I'm glad to be brought back into the fold of things to get to work alongside you boys again. So it should be a cracker.
It should be a cracker. I am ecstatic to get BlizzCon kicking off. I have just been, it's everything we have been building up for throughout all of this year, and to see it kind of come to life is just so amazing. So I'm ready just to kick things off, you know?
Yeah, it's the epitome of high-level Heroes of the Storm play, and I'm so ready to see how the best teams in the world are going to be playing this game, to learn from them and to be awed by them.
Well, of course, it's not just a case of who is going to be victorious, who is going to crown themselves a world champion, as we have 3 currently residing in this position. In fact, you could consider it 4 teams here, with strong contenders down the line as well. It's also a big point of the $1 million prize pool that we have here up for grabs, as we can take a look at how that breaks down. And first place guarantees themselves $500,000, $100,000 each per player. Grubby, that's a lot of skins.
Yeah, that's. I think that's about as much prize money ever for Blizzard tournaments. You know, back in my days, a big prize pool was $20,000 for a person. 100,000, that's insane. That's a huge prize pool. And it must be a big reason why all these teams are valuing BlizzCon so highly, Kylaris.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was saying, it's no kind of small prize, even kind of down the line there as well, with a total of $1 million up for grabs. Skimmy, it's fantastic for these teams.
It's a fantastic prize pool that will allow these teams during that big off season going into 2018 for the HGC to have a fair time off, do a bit of travel, get themselves refreshed and rejuvenated. Played a lot of games this year, whether they've been the major or the minor regions, so it's nice to take the breaks off and do something new.
Of course, there's a lot for us to get down to here, Dread, as I cut you off for a moment as we get all of this started, because we've got a lot to go through, as we have 16 teams here. Let's start with Group B and just kind of get an overlook there. We want to introduce you to a lot of these teams today, but obviously we're not going to be seeing every team today. So Group B consists of Fnatic, Darksided, Team Freedom, Beyond the Game. Dread, who we're looking at here?
I mean, Fnatic has got to be the first thing that jumps out at this page, but I do not want to count out Team Freedom. They're a team that has been fighting from the very beginning of HGC to prove that they're a team to be, at least, you know, scared of out of the North American team, and I feel like this is going to be the time for them to shine.
It's no secret that Beyond the Game has had a few issues coming into this tournament, Groovy, but they're looking to make the best of their situation.
Yeah, and the way that they can do that is just to say, okay, we've got nothing to lose, we're just going to give it our best, despite a few substitutes here and there.
Yeah.
And you know, with this group, not exactly anyone calling them the group of death, maybe Beyond the Game, Team Freedom, Darksided, all have equal chances after Fnatic.
And of course, Darksided, you know a bit about them, my friend.
I mean, they're my fan favorites, right? They're the ones coming from ANZ. The first time they've actually upset the pecking order, which has been Nomia, Nomia, and Nomia, right? So what better way to get that initiation? Welcome to the big leagues by taking on Fnatic, right?
An easy match to start for them, it seems. Let's move on to Group C and see who is going to be representing there as well. It consists of Roll20, Team Dignitas, we have Red Canids, and Tempest joining us here for this one. A lot of people are calling this the Group of Death.
Yep.
The group of depth.
And death.
And understandably so. You know, Tempest is not a team to be kind of laughing at, as it is right now. The word on the street is that Korea has really stepped their game up since the Eastern Clash. Yeah. Mix that with teams like Team Dignitas, the most consistent of Europe for so long out of all of 2017. And then Roll20, kind of the new blood rising here for North America and standing their own.
You got teams like Tempest in there who arguably are a little bit scared of things like Roll20 after we saw them defeat MVP Black over in Sweden.
Yeah, I mean, Tempest have been that third seed in Korea for quite a while now. They want to try and prove themselves as that contender amongst the world's elite.
Yeah.
What really shines out for me would be Red Cannons. I mean, they've come to all these international events. They've been trying and trying again, most recently with Jay Schritter. He's going to be moving to the North American circuit. But, you know, they've been hungry for that win. They're searching for it still on the international stage. But in a group of death like that, they couldn't have drawn a harder start.
Let's move on to Group D, see how that's going to be rounding out as well. That will be 3 or 4 days from now, depending on how you look at things, as SPT, Soul Torturers, Team Expert, and Ballistics is the little name that we're missing out there. But overall, you know, it's a very, very strong group as well, especially since a team like SPT has really risen to that #1 spot in China.
This group scares me the most, I feel like, out of every other one. SPT has been, even though we haven't had maybe the strongest representation of the Chinese region historically, they have constantly been climbing and dominating within their region. Soul Torturers, the first of the non-Ling regions to kind of, you know, like the region to surprise everyone, catch everyone off guard. And then you're putting in world champions like Ballistics, winning last Blizzcon on top of that, and then Expert. It's just that one, every team in there just brings such a unique play style to the table. It's going to be awesome.
Especially a team like Team Expert, who for the longest time were considered to be the wacky ones, but they've settled down a little bit now and have got into the groove of things. And a lot of teams are scared of how Expert can come to this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, what can we say about them? They're the 3rd seed in Europe. Before they were like solid middle tier in Europe. Yeah. And that's really been changing around recently, getting a lot of respect from the top European teams. Team Expert, you know, they have it within themselves to prove them even to be the best European team, maybe. We've heard some whispers around here and there that their performance in practice is very impressive. So this is truly a very formidable group with these teams.
Yeah. All right, the nitty-gritty is done almost, because now we move on to today. We have Group A about to come at you here with double elimination format, obviously, and we have MVP Black, one of the menacing beasts of Heroes of the Storm. Deadlykittens, we have CE, and we have Tempo Storm. Gentlemen, what stands out for you here?
I mean, the big matchup that I'm looking forward to today is going to be between both C and Tempo Storm. That's definitely a match where it could go either way, a 50-50 at that. I mean, once again, the Chinese teams are a little bit falling behind in terms of the visa issues, but you've got one that love to play that aggressive style, the other that wants to play that sort of defensive, stand back, almost turtle style. So clashing those two together should be some fireworks.
I completely agree when looking at CE versus Tempo Storm. They're probably more of the, you know, kind of competitive at this first glance, because it's MVP Black and Deadlykittens. We've seen that historically. It kind of goes the same direction, and it's MVP Black. But there is so much hype behind this team right now when it comes to the talk of the players and just the momentum that they've been able to gain since the Eastern Clash. So I do put this one as a tall tale for Deadlykittens, but the CE versus Tempo Storm series is going to be a doozy.
I mean, almost arguably anyone against MVP Black would look like a Deadlykitten.
Yeah.
Meow.
Get that one out of the way nice and early.
But the second match is definitely the one that we're looking at, where we say that's probably the toss-up for the 2nd seed in this group. And while normally you might say that CE is the more powerful than Tempo Storm, I truly do think as well that the style of Tempo Storm, I think they're very good defensively, a little bit less aggressively. So to be against such an aggressive team like CE actually plays into their hand. So it's really close.
Yeah, it's a great point that you bring up there. As I say, that is the biggest point of contention here in this group as we unfold down the line. We're going to take a look at the schedule in the moment for today's festivities as to what's going to be happening in Group A. Because, as we said, it's a double elimination format. So once you've lost one series, you're not out just yet. You do have that lower bracket in essence to be able to bring yourself back. CE versus Tempo Storm is going to be our match number 2, but we are starting things off with a previous world champion in themselves. MVP Black goes up against Deadlykittens. And I'm curious, I want to decide in myself, do I do the cliche thing of David versus Goliath? I've done it already anyway, damn. But overall, that is where we are at here for Deadlykittens going up against something like MVP Black. Skimmy.
I mean, I want us to run our clocks back to the Eastern Clash where we had they go up against MVP Black in the first round, right? And the first game, yeah, they tried to take him to Warhead Junction. It was a bit of a clown fiesta with them trying to draft 3 globals. MVP Black just going for the straight team fight and say we can beat you on raw mechanical skill. They came to game number 2. They tried something completely out of the realms. They went for the Ragnaros. It wasn't the lava wave like I know and love, but they went for that team fight. They were finding picks, finding hooks with the stitches. They were actually bringing the game to MVP Black. I believe it went to about 35 minutes, unheard of. Yes, you can make a question that, MVP Black weren't in their prime then. A lot's changed since then, but I wouldn't count Deadlykittens out as a quick 3-0.
Yeah. Well, gentlemen, we can get into it a little bit further down the line in a moment because we do have Group A just about to begin and unfold here for day number 1 of the HGC final. So without further ado, let's introduce you to Group A.
To prepare for the HGC finals, we scrimmed against a lot of Korean teams right after the qualifiers for Road to Blizzcon.
Our first game is against MVP Black, and we've faced them for this year like 3 times. So we're not really looking forward fighting MVP Black, but we're looking forward to face either Tempo Storm or CE.
The most unique thing in our team is the atmosphere while we're playing. We always have fun while playing, and of course we play seriously, but there's always that thing that this is a game, so we also need to have fun while playing.
In the weeks heading into the HGC finals, my team did a boot camp over in Santa Monica at Red Bull Studios, and we're feeling pretty confident.
I think what makes us unique is just we're not scared to play like random heroes that other people aren't comfortable to. We have a lot of unique strats ready to go, and I think we'll surprise people.
Pre-game rituals for us would have to be getting June Korean food. I think that if June were to have any other food besides Korean food, he doesn't play as well, so that's our top priority.
对于这次 HGC 的备战，我们队主要是对于我们将会面对的各个选手，研究他们的套路、阵容、BP 之类的，然后我们再开发自己的针对性的套路阵容，然后加强训练这几点。我队伍中每位选手英雄池比较深，所以可以适应多种阵容，然后打一些比较需要配合的一些阵容。对于我们小组赛中的3位对手，其中 MVP 我觉得是其中最大的对手，实力比较强，而且配合也很强。然后 Tempo Storm 的话，他们套路比较新颖，所以我们可能需要做更多的准备。另外一位 DK 战队的话，我们相对更加有信心一点，可以战胜他们。
其实对我们来说，狂鼠这个版本可能改动最大，也包括就是目前来讲吃出来的效果，可能变数最大的是莫拉丁这个英雄。他相比以前少了许多生存能力，但是相对来说他的进攻能力会比以前要增加很多，所以这会成为一个非常难处理的一个点。
HGC 풀리가 끝나고 블리즈컨을 진출된 그 와중에 저희가 파이널을 위해서 준비한 거는 일단 노블레스를 코치로 영입한 것과 유럽 3팀이 한국으로 부트캠프를 와가지고 유럽 팀들과의 많은 스크림을 하고 저희만의 메타를 정돈을 해서 오게 됐습니다. 저희가 갖고 있는 특별한 점은 일단 미치와 리셋의 캐리 라인이 다른 팀들과 비교가 될 정도로 강하다는 것과 최근에 영입한 노블레스 코치의 안정적이고 좀 특별한 뱀픽으로 좀 다른 팀들과 다른 무기를 좀 많이 갖고 있는 것 같아요.
일단은 제가 없을 때 MVP 블랙이 이번 년에 한번 우승을 했지만 저는 우승을 못한 지 꽤 오래됐거든요. 그럼에도 불구하고 응원을 해주시는 분들이 많아서 정말 기쁘고 이번에는 그 응원에 보답하기 위해 우승을 하도록 노력하겠습니다. 팀들을 상대하면서 딱히 긴장된다, 걱정된다라는 느낌은 없고 그냥 편하게 올라갈 수 있겠다 이런 느낌밖에 없어요. 아니요, 그런 건 없고 이번에 다들 그 경기 전에 단 거를 먹으면 집중이 잘 된다 해가지고 아마 초콜릿이나 사탕 같은 걸 먹고 들어갈 것 같아요.
And that is our 4 teams. A lot to assimilate from them as they come into this Group A, and a lot on the line, obviously, as they're nervous, anxious, prepared, whatever it is coming into this group. So obviously we've got MVP Black going up against Deadlykittens. Skimmy, I got a few of your thoughts, but I just want to open up the forum a little bit and ask you about, firstly, MVP Black. Where are they in the meta right now? Where are all of these teams in the meta? I think the question is, who knows, Dread?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be some adjustments when it comes to the meta for this tournament. Yes, double support has been something that a lot of the world has been talking about, and we can assume it to display itself here at this type of tournament. But when it comes to, a lot of the major reworks, like things like Murden, he's gotten a lot of hype behind him. But I do think it will be a very different meta from this tournament than what we experienced these teams playing as they qualified.
Grubby, your thoughts kind of coming into this tournament as a whole in that regard?
I mean, we saw CE saying that they studied the drafts of the other teams to try and kind of get a handle on how everyone is going to be playing. And this has to be very general. You need to look at trends and characteristics and styles, because really trying to pin down specific hero picks is going to be difficult due to the nature of the recent patch. So really what all of these teams are going to try to be doing is to understand the spirit of another team. Are you aggressively inclined? When you are in trouble, what do you deviate towards? What's your fallback plan? And I think that's going to be a big part of seeing these teams evolve during the tournament.
Yeah, and on the other side, of course, you've got one of the minor region teams like Deadlykittens coming into the fray here, with 2 actual Koreans now on their roster coming into this. So Skimmy, looking at them, looking at how they want to try and adapt to the meta, for some of the smaller regions, it's a little bit more, we're going to stick to our style, just try and bring that and see how that unfolds.
It's always really been that case, especially from what I know back home in ANZ, where it's you have limited scrimmage, you have limited partners, you have limited top-tier opponents to say. So you play what got you here in the first place. You try and go up against some of the world's best when you're here, but within that small window of opportunity to try and learn new strategies, try and learn new metas, they can be quite nerve-wracking when you're thinking suddenly, we thought this was the go-to, we're not getting the results against higher-tier opponents. You're thinking, do we need to change everything so drastically at a last-second moment? And, that can unnerve some members.
Absolutely, and one thing that I'm really looking forward to here with the Deadlykittens is the fact that with those 2 new members, they do seem rather confident, talking about some of the past experience that Confidence has with the OGN Super League and his performance there. And I really hope to kind of see that be brought to light, because I do feel like the core 3 members between NSJ, Stronger, and Avir here, it's just they have been so driven and passionate and so looking to self-improve for so long that I really do feel like those 2 additions might be the thing that puts them right over the edge.
It wasn't the easiest road for them here, though. There's always been resurgence in their region that has given them a few troubles here and there. But we spoke to them, Grubby, and they kind of alluded to, why there was troubles there, etc. So
yeah, I mean, they went into their qualifiers and they took the tough loss against Resurgence, dropped to the lower bracket, and then they said, okay, let's reevaluate. Now, they have these 2 new members from Korea, Jinwoo and Confidence, and they said that Confidence has brought a lot of new shot calling, a lot of new ideas. And one of the things they had to do was to reinvent themselves. Going back through the lower bracket, going to the grand finals and clinching the spot required a changing of styles. They adapted their meta, more double support play, and a few other things. So being able to come back from that, learn some new things, and to show up here at BlizzCon once again, that's going to feel good to them because they already had a hurdle on the way.
And don't forget, guys out there around the HGC universe, you can join in with all the festivities and fun here whilst we go into the HGC finals for 2017. How can you do that? Well, it's by cheering for your favorite team as we move forward here. As you can see, the cheer progress has gone quite well so far. I got my Arcane Chaos Lizard a little while ago, and I was very, very happy riding that around, trying to match it up for the perfect skinergy that you can get going. But if you cheer for your favorite team moving through here, there's never been a greater opportunity to claim these rewards, get yourself some banners, get yourself some sprays. I love representing my Dignitas banner in game. Just saying. I'm a Brit. We never win at video games. Let me have this moment, Dread, all right? Just let me have it.
I'm going to let you have it. No, that's totally fine.
All right, let's find out which battleground we're going to be going to here for our first series of the day, the first game of the day, as we have Sky Temple going to be chosen here for MVP Black.
And I want to reiterate that this is a common pick for MVP Black against opponents that traditionally they don't feel are maybe up to snuff, that is not going to really bring the fight there. It does feel like traditionally Korean teams have kind of felt out game number 1 and then game number 2 go to Sky Temple is almost the executioner moment. So to bring out game 1 on Sky Temple, I'm not saying it's bold, but it just conveys to me that MVP Black is beyond confident.
Yeah, that's my point exactly. SkyTemp has always been their go-to map for them. They can exert the pressure of not only macro, but team fighting prowess, saying you need to force that fight. And I mean, if you start off like this, I believe the last time we saw a minor region, I believe it was Nomi up against MVP Black. The game ended in like 8 minutes flat. So if you go into this best-of-3 series just like that, you show your authority as why we are one of the best to try and take up the entire tournament.
All right, time to open it up. The HGC Finals 2017. We're leading up to BlizzCon, the first draft here of our top 16 teams.
First ban is going to be going to Deadlykittens, as MVP Black picked this battleground. Deadlykittens has had a big leaning towards banning things like supports, Ariel for instance. Of course, this is in a previous meta. They like banning globals, wave clear, but now of course the villain of the Nexus, Garrosh, feared at every level for getting easy pickoffs and kills, will get removed right away.
I appreciate the fact that my Hero League experience is reflected in the first game of the day.
Yeah, everyone at home is nodding, yep.
Also want to highlight that Brightwing ban is going to be something I think we will see quite consistently throughout this tournament. She has risen through the ranks of supporting due to the major adjustments that have happened to her as of late, and then also just the double support meta she fits so very conveniently into. So not surprised to see that taken away, but that high Ariel does indicate that kind of hyper carry double back support line, or excuse me, double hyper carry and then double support behind it to keep it up on the front line.
What I'm interested really for the Deadlykittens is we saw during their qualifiers that Jinwoo was extremely reliant on the Rhaegar, picking it 9 times of the 11 games that we had to analyze. So the fact that they say he can't speak English, he is going to be very, we're going to be very reliant on him actually keeping up. You've got the Oreo, as you say, the hyper carry. The response though is, it's the annoyance of both Tracer and Tass. I'm already tilted based on those picks alone.
Trashadar.
Trashadar.
Yeah, Trashadar.
I hate it.
And that's a nice new term for those that find this combo difficult to deal with. Oh, look, it's Trashadar again.
It sounds like some kind of Pokemon, but anyway. Beyond that, are you not interested by the Oriel pick initially for Deadlykittens?
They value it so highly. In their match against CE at the Eastern Clash, they banned Ariel twice. They had a lot of first picks, first bans even, against Ariel in the last 4 months or so.
Yeah.
So for them, if anything, this shows that they are still very much in that same mindset, that whatever changed hasn't changed their hate-love for the Archangel of Hope.
I do want to kind of back that. I completely agree. It does feel like, I don't want to say that a high Ariel is out of place, because I don't think that is quite the case, but considering the map and the transition of like what I'm assuming out of this team, it does feel like maybe sticking to what they knew and what has worked into the past a little bit more than considering bringing their own flavor here to the table. Granted, that is just one pick and that we could be completely blown away here, but it does feel that way at first glance.
There was so much focus, it felt like, from their regional on Oriel and Tassadar, and unfortunately for them, because they feel like Garrosh is so much of a threat, they now have to let that Tassadar through. So that's a little bit of a worrying thought there for them if they wanted to control that so much in their regional, surely.
Yeah, Tracer Tassadar is a threat, and it really comes down to Tracer's playing level, because basically, if you play Tracer well, you should be nigh unkillable. The only question is, can you do things fast enough, accurately enough, to actually make an impact? And one thing that works against Tracer, people don't draft triple squishes anymore. There's a lot of double warrior, double support, a lot of utility stunts, so it's not as easy as it used to be. But Tracer is really taking shape in the meta as the new quintessential assassin, whereas it used to be Vala or Greymane. Now Tracer is a big one in Korea.
How bold is a play picking a Tracer into an Oriel Crystal Aegis potential?
I don't feel like it's that bold, honestly. Most of the time, it does feel like when MVP Black transitions into the Tracer, it's more of just relying on this high amount of mobility and high amount of burst to be able to deal with this double support meta. I don't think that Tracer is one of those only heroes that plays into that playstyle, but generally, that does seem like it has been the approach here for Koreas. If they feel like that's going to be the choice, have high mobility and make the supports not able to respond to just immediately initiating and diving a backliner.
The question for me, though, is Muradin going to be the one to get banned away? No, they decided to go for the Malfail. So a lot of questions are asked about this new rework towards Muradin, especially with the level 7 and 16 being such huge power spikes. With that in mind, it would actually add a lot of utility to MVP Black in terms of draft for the dive to assist Tracer in finding that pick target, locking him down, and guaranteeing a kill.
I feel like Deadlykittens is my spirit animal. These are the 2 bands that I go with every game.
Maltheo and Garrosh.
Thank you, Deadlykittens, for leading my way. I appreciate that.
Now, Johanna and Dahaka were logical picks, because when you take a support that doesn't have cleanse, though it seems most don't, they can protect themselves with the Burrow and the Iron Skin.
bit of a common strategy we've seen recently. If you do decide to ban away the Uther for that armor component, you take out Lieutenant Morales instead. You've got that single sustained healing with the safeguard for that on-demand armor burst protection. Should allow Tracer then to stick around for longer.
But Muradin new and a deadly force potentially in this meta.
Yeah, he is right now. A lot of teams were honestly considering he might not even make it past the secondary ban phase, to the point where MVP Black picking this up, they may feel like they've already kind of gotten more than they should throughout this draft after that Malthael ban. But ultimately, it's yet to be seen here, as we have no games here played competitively onto this patch yet. And so it's going to be just kind of, will Deadlykittens here with these last two picks find a way to really bring up that Ariel pick here and make that global pressure be something that MVP Black has to be afraid of?
The good thing for Deadlykittens, they flex their damage, so whatever Muradin is going to try to double stun, it's not going to be Johanna and Dahaka if they're on point. A quick burrow or Iron Skin can prevent the stun from proccing, and it will be safer against Muradin. But what will they finally take? Greymane and Lucio. So second layer of protection and mobility in Lucio, and Greymane as the hyper carry.
I was going to say, this Sonya is going to absolutely dominate as the last pick here. Into specifically a Lucio, it is about 90% of his maximum HP. Pairing that with already the Tassadar that they have on top of that, Tracer's going to be providing a lot of damage onto the backline. I am honestly surprised. I thought Sonya was going to be picked in the rotation before, and then seeing that Lucio locked in, I immediately go, oh, baby, somebody's got to be riding the walls very effectively here and dodging Poison Spears, because Poison Spear is one of the biggest hitbox spells almost in the entire game. It's crazy how large it is, and it's very easy to be able to hit that. So bit of a risky pick of that Lucio, in my opinion, because the Sonya seems pretty projected.
Another problem is Greymane as the solo damage dealer. Lucio, Johanna does a little bit more damage post rework, but Lucio doesn't do much. Anyway, you've got this one assassin Greymane, and normally when teams tend to run a single assassin with double warrior, double support, it's going to be someone that can reliably take out 2, 3, 4, or even 5 members of a team. Li Ming, Tracer, Vala, high mobility, short cooldowns. But when you look at Greymane, he can generally at maximum kill 2 members, and that's kind of it. And then there's still 3 left, and if that's Tassadar, Tracer, and Sonya maybe, you're in trouble. You can't take down the rest. So I do think it's a worrying draft for Deadlykittens, even not thinking about the team's power levels.
I was going to say, if you took away the names, what do you think about the control that potentially Deadlykittens composition could have on a map like Sky Temple compared to what MVP Black has?
I mean, I feel like they could rotate around the map really effectively. Ultimately, the one thing that I kind of struggle with is seeing the Johanna without having a heavy synergy to follow up onto the Condemn. Like, ultimately, I would have liked to see a little bit more of like a Reign of Vengeance kind of follow up in that double support hyper carry strategy. I just feel like, you know, Johanna, the wave clear and what she can provide in terms of that, it's just not going to gain that up on a map like Sky, and nobody's getting the follow-up CC necessary with that Greymane pick.
Well, don't forget you can vote for your favorite team here going into this series as well, with the hashtag of which one you think is going to be winning. Is it going to be MVP Black or is it going to be Deadlykittens? And overall, we're very interested to hear what you guys think out on the Twitterverse for the HGC universe. So tweet at us at Heroes Esports as well. Get that hashtag HGC going and spread the word that the HGC finals is happening. Skimmy, you had a thought?
I was just going to say, NSJ on Greymane, this is his hero. I mean, it's something he's extremely comfortable on. So I feel like, as you mentioned at the very start of this series, this is a case of pick some comfort picks. Let's try and get the ball rolling. Let's not try and do anything too outside the box. Only thing I'm really concerned for is what build he goes for, potentially the cocktail, to try and get some hope generated for this Oriole. Otherwise, they're going to lack on sustain. They're going to lack on this global front, which really got them punished on Warhead.
Small thoughts, Dred, before we start?
I do want to say that NSJ, though it is his hero, he plays very high risk, high reward, and I do feel like some of his decision-making will be heavily punished against a team like MVP Black.
All right, well, thank you very much, gentlemen. We'll check in with you throughout the series. As for now, we're going to head over to the commentary team. It's an epic tale of an American food critic in Korea meeting a giant. Let's head over to Wolf and Jayhow.
To our first series of the day, as we've got MVP Black going up against Deadlykittens. Wolf, we've seen a lot of Korea. I've seen a lot of SEA this year. These teams have seen each other a lot.
Yeah,
thoughts before we head in?
I mean, I think that the obvious prediction for anyone watching is going to be the MVP Black 2-0, but I think that for me, this series for both teams is already an expected result for both sides. I mean, Black's not worried about Deadlykittens. Deadlykittens knows it's a likely loss. They're focused on the rest of the group. This is a kind of a first snapshot of the evolution of the meta for what we're going to see in BlizzCon. Already seeing double supports. These exact drafts could have been drafts we saw on previous patches. So I think it's exciting to see these two teams kind of clash in a standard style, not showing any of their strategies just yet going forward.
We're going to see how these strategies play out as it's time to start game number 1 here with Deadlykittens going up against MVP Black. All right, to kick things off, we will have MVP Black here on the left and blue. Big moments here as Muradin coming out in his first showing, as you talked about.
Yeah.
The first snapshot of the meta, and we already see the early Tracer pickup, which will be Kyocha, legendary, of course.
Yeah, and this is going to be an exciting look at what Black wants to do in this group. Remember, Black comes in as not necessarily the direct favorites this season, but a lot of teams have been saying this could be their season. They failed in the semis last year. So that win for Fnatic was, I think, kind of the beginnings of Europe's growth to dominance. But yeah, I'm excited to see how these two comps do clash and do collide. And NSJ, I think, is going to have to be very well positioned, or they will see that punish play out of Black, like Dread was talking about on the desk just earlier. As MVP Black, without vision there, is just going to walk away, and we're going to start to see this lane heat up. I'm excited to see what Deadlykittens could potentially do to the Tracer with all the lockdown that they have, with the Dahaka grab potential after a Blessed Shield. Detainment Strike going to be very difficult to hit. But if they can get that Blessed Shield into a tongue grab or vice versa, that's going to really be realistically the only way they can kill Tracer, who doesn't have any sort of protection like a Divine Shield.
It's pretty much exactly how they're going to have to execute that. And the other thing is playing around the global. What can they do? Where can they get their advantage with the Dahaka? It's things like that that not only are you just trying to play for the team fight, but you have that global control. You have to play around that, and we'll see what Deadlykittens has come up with. And, Wolf, I had a talk with him after the midseason brawl, going into the second Eastern Clash, and their qualifiers in general. Spent a lot of time there. And Stronger himself, who used to be that secondary melee role, talked so much about how he had such a huge respect for the macro game. That's something they wanted to focus on.
And that's certainly what they are trying to do with this draft. Sonya drafted into the Dahaka. You're not going to have a tough time, as we are going to see a pick potential here onto Jin. Just get taken out with that pulse bomb connecting. Just 1 second of misposition can cost you everything. And Black does have this setup that, even without Sonya here, is very difficult to deal with. They have so much CC, and even the grenade, for example, is something that could put you out of position just like that. But, the soul lane dominated by the Sonya means that Dahaka will have to leave it. He will not have to, Sonya will not have to leave it. So she can actually stay down there, and Black can actually not really worry about the global, because it's not like Sonya needs to come up right now, especially because of that pick. So Dahaka having a little bit of a hard time down there.
Yeah, he's having a hard time, and I tell you who's also having a hard time is that Johanna. Generally, Johanna's the bully who can just stand on a point and just like, all right, look, I've got Iron Skin, I've got a lot of things I can do well. And except Muradin there with Tassadar, pretty good, as we do see Inavir come in on the Dahaka. Nice grenade pushed out there, but Dahaka does get the grab. Sake in a little bit of trouble. That's going to be a takedown.
There's going to be a trade here. Resets up here. Deadlykittens need to get out. Sticking around here under Cannon Tower would be a big problem, but that was a nice play there, catching the Morales. You saw the ping come in there as well, as he was realizing that was going to happen. That was a really great play. The grenade didn't actually get him the CC he needed, but with Dahaka leaving to make this play, this means Rich is going to get extra damage done in the bot lane. So that's the trade-off, and it's a win for Black. It's 1-for-1, but damage done in the bot lane is more significant here.
I'm just thinking about this, and I'm just going to go out on a limb, as we've got MVP Black with a full level up. We know Heavy Impact is the new hotness at level 7 since the Muradin rework.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to stun out a potential sound barrier, there's another stun where another hero jumps in.
I mean, there's
some leap value, maybe, perhaps?
I don't think we'll see leap, but you can just simply take the easier and more standard stun of the Ancient Spear, which will likely be Poison Spear, which could burst through that. But yeah, I mean, I suppose that is a possibility that we see, J-Hal, as Confidence is getting real harassing here. Pulsed as well, and just barely get out of there.
Tried to give him a parting gift on the way out. He's like, I guess that's not enough here, but Kyocha already making the plays. And we come back to this time last year and throughout last summer, Kyocha was legendary on this. And, we've seen like the roster or the role changes that they've had. Kyocha, of course, was that support who changed over when they had the roster change when Mary Day left after a midseason brawl. But he's back to making plays here on Tracer.
I mean, one of the best Tracers in the world, no doubt, and the first to use him, and flex to him back in Sweden last year in summer. So, as you can see here, we're just going to see another rotation down. They clear this, which means the Caps can threaten this fort because the wall was already down. Black can play more aggressively like this as long as they stay out of range of the fort, as long as they have this minion wave. Because Deadlykittens doesn't have much they can do, especially a talent tier down here. They're playing it safe, which is something to appreciate. But again, while finally Black has, or sorry, well, finally Deadlykittens has come down here to help deal with this. At the top lane, the same situation is happening, so they're moving that solo lane pressure up to the top lane to get that extra damage done.
Well, that heavy impact value there. NSJ taking a big chunk of his health there. We've got ourselves a look into that solo lane that we talked about with the Sonya and Dahaka. Obviously, the camp's going to be up there.
And it's really cool, you know, because Black has basically gotten this extra experience lead. You look at the kills 2-1, it doesn't tell the story of why that experience lead, that level lead for Black is there. They've killed now 2 complete walls, forcing that rotation of Dahaka up, losing the solo lane here in this matchup. Dahaka not getting that real value with the gank attempt he tried to do. That global value just isn't there just yet, so Black has this structural lead. They won the temple phase as well, and I love this play. This is a great play by Deadlykittens. It's not seen by Black. Coach is nearby, but he doesn't know about this. They need to actually respond.
They just, I don't think that they have the damage. Double support with Ariel, Lucio, they lack the siege damage, that PvE damage that you tend to rely on, as we see another pulse bomb going on a Confidence, who lives with just a sliver of health there. Post 10, that's not happening anymore. When you get that extra percent damage, it's going to be over. But remember, post level 10, we will have the sound barrier, most likely, and the crystal.
I like the play for Deadlykittens. They didn't commit to it. I thought they were going to have Johanna to rotate down to try to catch a potential, you know, Black coming into the late moment, a late scout there before 10. I thought it was a risky play, but I thought it was a good one given the situation they're in right before 10. But they decided to play it safer. They back away. Now Black has 10. They're going to make that same power play. And in this case, this is not a risk. And it's even been scouted by Deadlykittens, but they just simply know they can't deal with it. You can even see Burden solos the camp down there, the temple. And Deadlykittens is in a really rough spot right now, pre-10. They don't have Blessed Shield. This is a disaster.
It's just NSJ is kind of driving by, throwing cocktails out the window. It's like, look, I'm just trying to get some stacks here. Was unsuccessful, by the way, in trying to get one of those stacks. He's still sitting at 2. I don't know. They're going to have a hard time, I think. Post 10 is going to be their moment, but they got to get there as we see a stem drones out.
Now, Kocha is going to do a lot of damage with this. The Tainment Strike here onto Rich. But there's the great sound barrier timing to keep Prophets alive, but not going to be there for the longer fight there. There's the stun coming out that new Muradin. Stronger is in trouble. No way out of this one. And throughout this, finally, for the first time this game, Dahaka's been able to push the top lane. Didn't come down. He wanted to get them 10, but now with a boss against them, a lot of heroics used on the side of Deadlykittens. This could even be a very early keep now, J-How.
The biggest threat here is, as Dredd said in the trap, this is, you know, Burden coming in. We don't know where he's going to be at. We're surprised he made it even past second ban. But the threat now, with the heavy impact at 7, if that boss had maybe got a little bit more early value, maybe you look towards coming in, Muradin jumping in, you get a pick, it starts the snowball out of control. Things like that can and will happen. But MVP Black, obviously, 2-level lead, very much taking what little they got out of there, or the amount they got out of that with the wall. They'll start to look to close things out around the next few temples.
Notice when Dahaka comes down to help deal with this pressure to prevent the keep, Rich was already on the way up to the top lane, so that push that came to his cannon towers, he's already cleared. He's already gained that extra experience, started to put this pressure on. And this is a nice rotation to try to punish him on his way out, but they're just a little bit too late because they had to deal with that bot pressure. And look at where Black is headed. They've got Siege Giants in the bottom. They're trying to catch Dahaka here. Already knows he used his brush stock, and Inavir is in deep trouble. There's the stun. Tries to dodge the Stormbolt here. Pulse comes in. This is going to be a kill for sure.
He's holding on. Adaptation is keeping him alive for the moment, but they're going to have so many problems. The stem drone's going to be out. NSJ, this is where Dredd was talking about going in a little bit far, not being punished there as he does get the first confirmed kill onto Morales. So they are able to make some plays, and guess what? They've got friends.
Oh, Black is actually in trouble here. I like the rotation now from Confidence, trying to get the boop in to trap these members. Tist, very much in trouble. He's just going to peel here for the rest of his team, and what was I wrong there? I thought that was going to be the burst, but the adaptation, as you said, helped them survive here, and what looked like a great play to trap the Dahaka was countered by Deadlykittens, clearly preparing for a rotation like this. Reset's going to have to pop Archon to survive here. He will just barely make it out. The cost here, of course, is Sonya getting the lead on this temple, but very much a great turnaround by Deadlykittens.
A good turnaround. That was a really good chase there. We haven't seen the new rework Johanna as well, that level 7 talent, getting that bonus slow when you hit multiple targets, that 80% slow. We saw the value of it, forcing out that Archon that you talked about.
Yeah, it was very well played by the Deadlykittens there, and just a little bit off on the damage needed to kill Dahaka by Black. So they're going to actually put some pressure down here in the bot lane. Now, we talked about how Rich had the lead on temples. He can make 2 choices. He can either try to push top lane hard, or he can come down here to contest the last shots. Looks like he's already made his choice. Just going to stay up there in the top lane. Hides himself, though, so Deadlykittens has to keep in mind that he could be coming down at any moment. In fact, here he comes.
Yeah, Johanna went mid to clear that wave, which means Murden knows that there's not much peel there. Good. Oh, there's the interrupt. There's the interrupt on the sound barrier with that going in. NSJ is very deep, getting the heals there, trying to stay alive. He's going to go ahead and disengage.
Providence has to live.
In the cocktail.
Oh, he does live here. He's going to have that barrier again. There it is. Barely surviving. That was so important here, but even still, this looks like a done deal in terms of this team fight as DK is just back there. Boom, blown up there is Tahaka. Now stronger, isolated here. He can live a little bit longer to try to buy time for the respawn, but he's going to go down, and this could be a snowball, a slippery slope to defeat here for Deadlykittens in this first game. The keep is easy to take out here. It's fodder for MVP Black. 12 seconds for Tahaka. They can't lose anyone else.
They can't lose anybody else, and that's going to be Lucio going down. The keep's going to fall. Jinwoo's going to be the next to fall. They'll get through this keep. They'll turn their eyes towards the core. There's heavy impact showing its impact. Once
Making
again.
a big impact. Core protected, by the way. They will have to kill that keep first, but now it's open. We're going to see Inavir just try to buy a little bit of time here for his teammates.
Extra range. That extra range. Inavir's getting racked in that back line.
There. That's going to be the victor here. Stronger body blocked out, and now they just have to kind of hit this core for a minute. We do see the respawns coming through. Confidence is going to try to buy some time here, but they just have to fight away. It is a Sonya comp, which is so difficult to defend against, and it looks like this is just simply going to be game number 1 going over to MVP Black.
Something about that Murden pick seemed okay in that draft. Post level 7.
Yeah, and we saw a lot of really good control of the fights with the dwarf tosses, but I think this game goes to the unsung hero of Rich, who destroyed the matchup against Tahaka, was able to get that extra damage done in both the bot lane and the top lane to get them 10 first, and that rotation up that was really cool by Deadlykittens, where they got that pick onto Morales, was still only a trade, and they were losing experience to do so, and the macro lead here for Black on this map, they love to pick so much, as I think what kind of pushed them forward to victory, comps aside.
Comps aside, and a great showing in our game number 1 here by MVP Black. But we're going to hear what Caleris and crew have to say about that game 1.
Thank you, gents. Part of the course here for MVP Black for game number 1, it seems, to start things off. But there were glimmers of hope there for Deadlykittens with a few kills around and about to try and get themselves into this series, Dread. Starting with you.
I think the biggest thing that I'm happy to see, at least out of the play for Deadlykittens, is even when they were behind, when the fight was going to happen, they didn't just run and walk away from it, even though it was definitely not in their maybe best interest to take it. Walking away would have definitely lost them the fight. So they tried to bring the fight to them, just didn't pay out.
I mean, we expected the game kind of to go like this. They faced twice at Eastern Clash. MVP Black won 2-0, 2-0. There's this big power level. It's almost like Seed 1 versus Seed 16. But yeah, overall, some things worked out for Deadlykittens. And we actually have a moment here, a little sunshine ray. Here is the moment where they turned it around. They actually used Tahaka's burrow to dodge the Stormbolt follow-up and the Dwarf Toss stun. This double stun combination from Murden is so powerful, and they managed to actually turn it around. At this point, they were almost down and out, but the turnaround did pretty nice. We actually missed the moment earlier on where Tahaka stayed alive by the skin of his teeth. And, I tried to say this with a minimum of cynicism. They made it past 10 minutes. On Sky Temple.
That's fair.
Like, they didn't get trashed. The death count wasn't that high. I do think they handicapped themselves, Deadlykittens, severely with that draft. Very little threat ratio against double support, only Greymane. These kind of turnaround fights, they were always going to be their biggest strength. It was going to be difficult, but they did better than I would expect with a draft like that against a team like MVP Black.
Yeah, that was the point I really wanted to isolate during that draft. We were speaking, myself and Dread, saying, the Malthael ban, why would you go for the Malthael direction? The fact that Sonya could get all the way through. And typically speaking, we're only seeing the Malthael come out as a response towards that lane matchup between that and Sonya. So the fact that came through, you have to question it. We discussed also the Ufa. Ufa, I feel like, came down to a case of, look, NSJ, he's comfortable on that Greymane. If we give him 2 hard protection supports with the Divine Shield, with the Aegis, he may have the potential to pop off more than just 2 people, as you were discussing. But in the end, this is comfort. They get the win.
Yeah.
The 8-minute was a ray of sunshine, but more consistency.
I have a feeling that that draft might be one that if once it's all said and done here, we've claimed a champion, we look back and we go, how did those picks make it post the secondary ban phase? I am not necessarily confident enough to say exactly. I think the Murden, I might be confident enough to say he. Sonya is one that's standing out for me in this tournament as another one that's going to be at that level, but definitely like the Murden, you're kind of like, you know, because we're yet to develop a tournament meta. These teams are kind of feeling each other out, but
Absolutely.
I do feel like MVP Black bit off a lot and it was easy to chew.
Well, that was game 1 down and done. Of course, we have a few more potentially to come here in this best of 3. For now, though, here for the HGC 2017, let's hear a word from our sponsors.
The 2017 Heroes Global Championship Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel, T-Mobile, and NVIDIA.
Thank you very much for that, as of course we do now move on in just a few moments' time to game number 2. But of course, there's still a little few factors here from game number 1 that are interesting. Primarily, you know, a few talent choices here and there that I wasn't expecting. Even something that we should, you know, tell the audience about in general is Kyocha will flex to things like Tracer. You know, typically people out there are expecting him to be the support of the team, or at least one of the main supports, but that thing is a potential dread.
Yeah, they've been comfortable. Not only, I feel like it goes a little bit beyond the Tracer. If you go way back to the Spring Global Championship and look at the kind of core heroes that he ended up playing on at that point in time, it does feel like when push comes to shove, they're comfortable just going, you know, way back in the day, Kyocha, legendary on these, like, we'll feel comfortable doing that, and we'll kind of, you know, move into that support role in the meantime. So it wasn't that surprising to be able to see it, but it's not every time they have a Tracer he's on it.
All right, well, let's move on to game number 2. It's going to be our battleground. Let's find out where we're going to, as we have Sky Temple for game number 1. Game 2, chosen by Deadlykittens, Dragonshire.
No surprise.
This is a Deadly Kitten map through and through. I mean, we're looking at the qualifiers with this new roster, even just if you go back a few in terms of this history as a team. Dragonshire has always been their go-to map. They have a high win rate on it as well, so bring it back to something that they're comfortable on, try and net themselves a win, or like we saw at the Eastern Clash, a much closer game.
I will say that I was extremely of high praise, you know, at the mid-season brawl of the performance of Deadlykittens, specifically on Dragonshire. I think that their rotations were beautiful and fluid. And yes, they are working with a bit of a different squad that they've seemed more confident with. But I will say that it doesn't seem as perfected or calculated as it seemed like it was at the midseason brawl. I'm not going to say that it's, you know, a poor performance by any means. They are still very good at Dragonshire. But for instance, you know, the Dragonite mid-tier split pushing up on the top, they're still great at getting their pressure out and multiple lanes at once, but utilizing the Dragonite seems to have kind of taken a step back.
All right, game number 2, MVP Black currently leads 1-0 in this best of 3, going up against Deadlykittens.
Immediately, you got to be considering the Brightwing. On a map like Dragonshire, when globals are so very effective, even more so than some of the other maps there, and the double support, she is really just standout support across the board. So we're going to see that there from MVP Black, but any expectations, anybody, on Deadlykittens?
Question I wonder if they decide to go for the test style ban or not. I've seen them go for the test style ban in the past. You know, you saw them do it last game as well. Trashadar, as we've coined it.
As you've coined it.
I've coined it.
Let's just be specific there.
I want to embrace us on this disc, you know, you're winning for the long ride.
All right, so this is begging Deadlykittens to open up Tassadar Vala now. Otherwise, they'll end up giving Tracer Tassadar. I'm not entirely on board yet with that skimmy. Yeah, giving away Tassadar here could be a big problem. You could see something like Tracer, Murden, Tassadar in the first 3 for Black. So the obvious thing to do for Deadlykittens would be Tassadar Vala. They have run really good Vala in the past on Dragonshire. It's very strong 3 to 4 man lane kind of map. So these heroes are very good at that, Tassadar and Vala. Good wave clear and pressure.
Another thing to reiterate, because we saw kind of the Johanna be picked up in the last game, and I was talking about the lack of pressure and maps and synergies that maybe I would like to see a bit more. This is one of the cases where if they did move into that Tasvala, a later Johanna with synergy with Rain would really pay off. It gets a lot of threat and pressure onto the lanes across the board from beginning to end of Dragonshire.
As much as Valor is an all-round hero and almost everybody's comfortable on it, is it an interesting thing to note that NSJ more played the Genjis and the Greymanes in his recent games compared to something like a Valor, so maybe he's not as well versed on it in the current meta. Is that something that could be a hindrance and maybe even researched by MVP Black?
I think it's possible to get that level of depth of research, but to be honest, MVP Black has been honest with us, and for the most part, of just being it doesn't seem like they have much respect for opponents, specific ones, and when they don't, they just don't research them. Historically, when we've been like, what do you think, about North America? They're just like, ultimately, we didn't look much into them because we're confident we will just beat them.
Didn't the MVP Black say they only pretty much know one player from North America? It's like, we know Glarung.
Oh, I remember that,
Yeah, of course, they lost to Roll20 and Glarung, so he's worth remembering. For the rest, they don't really know who's on what team, where North America is on the world map.
I think it wasn't just one player. I think it was also one strategy that was worth remembering for them.
So what I like about this draft so far, I like the direction they go for the Sonya instead of the Valor. Deny what Rich was so powerful, and they go for the Malfield. And this time it makes a lot more sense. That way you're guaranteeing yourself a winning matchup for the most part in that top lane. The Rhaegar, I like this idea from MVP Black. It's a case of saying, look, Jinwoo is so confident on this because of that communication issue. We can try and flex him into a different support like the Oriole game one and try and put him in that moment of like, will he have our back to make sure these fights go in our favor?
You say a potential communication issue, and just to elaborate for people out there, Jinwoo compared to Confidence's English isn't as fantastic. So that is why that may happen there, just covering that.
Because it should be noted that there are 3 members that are Filipino as well. So, like, there is a language, mixture going on that they have been able to overcome, and it's been very, very impressive. But I do want to highlight double support commitment to MVP Black there, that high up. The Lieutenant Morales is something that Sake has been displaying for a long period of time. But to be able to get that Rhaegar on a map like Dragonshire and secure wave clear within your supports when you commit to double support is absolutely necessary. The other one that sits at the forefront, Tassadar, but with Deadlykittens taking it out, I think that was a really nice adjustment there for Black.
Interestingly, of course, as well, MVP Black knows that everyone's eyes are going to be on them. So if they have certain high priority picks that they can delay to pretend not to be interested in them, for example, Muradin, that is going to be an extra benefit. It is a risk, even against Deadlykittens, to take such an approach, but I do think we have to call it as happening right here under our eyes. Not picking Sonya early, not picking Muradin early, and going for the Morales Rhaegar.
How about you describe it? Are you a fan of that they went for the Johanna, given they know it's going to be Lieutenant Morales with a very heavy heavy backline priority? I mean, you've got the Sonya, you've got the Valor, you've got almost a hashed effort of what MVP did just before in game number 1. Some way of targeting that medic and like locking them down, because otherwise it's going to be the Kyoto show once again on Tracer.
I mean, I'm really not sure yet about Johanna before you. Whoa!
Oh, baby!
Okay.
Antirial.
Butcher.
So we're thinking they're just going to play standard, not show us anything. They come out with the Butcher.
I mean, there's 2 arts of war, right? Showing standard, not showing anything special, or showing standard special things that you do not intend to use later on in the tournament. And then there's the double mind game, showing special things that you will use later in the tournament, pretending to pass them off as irrelevant strategies.
I think the very interesting thing about this is actually one of the maps that we saw him off frequently on when we saw him infrequently in the past. Something like this in Blackheart's Bay way long ago, but this was one of the maps where he has strength.
So, the Butcher, he's been reworked a few times. Right now, Butcher needs 200 pieces of meat. This can be collected from hero kills, so he needs about 8 kills, or 200 lane minions. That takes way too long. So, right now, Butcher does need a lot of early game takedowns to get the kind of meat that gives him bonus attack speed and bonus damage and makes him a force to be reckoned with. If Butcher can be killed early and often by DK, he will never come into the game and he will be a burden. But if he pops off early on, he will be an absolute monster.
What do you think about the Stukov going up against the Butcher?
It was a very clever adjustment to be able to help stop with the Ruthless Onslaught, be able to deter the double support and help with the kill potential. But I do have concern with a frontliner that cannot synergize with the Stukov. When you have Stukov on your team, you want that Muradin. You want somebody with hard CC, the gap closer to lock them down to make sure that your lurking arm is going to be effective and that double support actually has problems. I love the draft here. I want to highlight that I think Deadlykittens drafted day and night from game number 1 and 2. It is very impressive, the composition they've developed. Just obviously, this is MVP Black and a wild flare of the Butcher coming in.
It feels almost like to me a case of we're going to go for the Stukov to try and match that sustain that Rhaegar will be able to bring in that AoE center, but also the lurking arm not going to be utilized as an aggressive tactic. More so, we know that you're going to Tyrael Judgment in. We know you're going to jump in with the Eldrin's Might. We know you're going to jump in with the Butcher's Ruthless Onslaught. So I just put it onto you. I can guarantee that that is then the flick of the switch to turn things around. Potentially, flating swipe, if things get too racy, they just smack you away and say, let's try again, boys.
I love the adaptations that we're seeing here in this second game. As much as you say, MVP Black, very clear favourite. And I've got to wonder how much of Grubby's useless strategies that might not come out later down the line. This is for MVP Black. It's a quite conundrum.
We simply don't know yet, and that's part of the excitement and the mystery of this match and going forwards in the tournament. But yeah, Deadlykittens, much better draft. Take away the names, and I will say that it is fairly even. Stukov is going to have a huge burden on his rather significant shoulders. He can actually preempt the Eldruin's Might from Tyrael and the Ruthless Onslaught from Butcher. Putting a Lurking Arm defensively is going to be the key to completely disassembling the attack of MVP Black. So if Stukov plays well and is protected from the Tracer attacking him while he Lurking Arms, this could be a very potent combination for Deadlykittens.
Okay, gentlemen, I think we're ready to head over to the commentary team here for game number 2. MVP Black brings the Butcher. Deadlykittens responds with Stukov. Let's find out with Wolf and Jayhow.
Well, Wolf, I don't know if you know this, but I love Butcher.
I know you love Butcher, and I know you're very excited about this. I'm not excited for Deadlykittens necessarily about dealing with this comp. I think it's going to be pretty tough. Going to be seeing a lot of meat stacks coming through. Some fresh meat is going to be on the table here. I'm excited to see how it plays out, but with so much protection for the Butcher here, I mean, what are you going to do? It's going to be tough.
You cross your fingers and hope that you don't end up like Tychus in his very scary trailer, as I think we are ready for game number 2 here, as MVP Black is going to be taking on Deadlykittens. Can they send it home on game number 2 and advance in here in our early Group A showing? Dragonshire, the name of the game. This is Deadlykittens' favorite map. When I talked to them the other day, away from everybody, I said, you guys going to be picking Dragonshire? They said, oh, yeah.
I like that they were able to identify early on that Black was looking for a solo lane win and ban the Malthael. I think that was really important. That was, it feels obvious oftentimes on a map like this, but I think that was the key. The draft for Deadlykittens, I agree with Dread, is much better than their game number 1 draft. But we were talking about a Butcher that is going to be protected by Moralis. Ancestral will be able to have Sanctification there as well. It's going to be very difficult to kill him. And I think that with the draft Deadlykittens showed, I think Rubby's exactly right. Defending will be key with that Lurking Arm.
Rich is one of my absolute most favorite people to watch, whether he's streaming or whether he's playing in-game. I absolutely love watching Rich play. And he plays such a wide variety of heroes. He's so good on so many heroes. He's renowned as being one of the best. I want to see what he can do here on Butcher.
We're just going to see this prolonged fight here. NSJ is going to get caught. Will he get over the wall, though? Just barely not. It's going to be a trade, actually, for reset there. Rich overextending, does die. And remember, as was mentioned, I believe it was by Caleris there on the desk, early game is so crucial for Butcher. Pick up the stacks. Every death is a detriment as you lose. Probably in this case, all of your stacks for him in this early game. We're only less than a minute in, so staying alive, farming those stacks is so quintessential.
Yeah, it'll be very curious. We already see the block coming out from Sonya for that level 1 talent to deal with those dives. It doesn't necessarily do well against Tracer, but it will against those Butcher dives. We'll see how these lanes pan out. But post-level 7, Butcher had a few minor nerfs, we could say. Level 7, he does get that spell armor when he does go in, charging in. So dealing potentially with the Q-built Bala that we see, that will most likely be coming out as the number 1 choice. So different ways of dealing with it on both sides here.
So one thing you could do with Rhaegar on this map, too, is roam between top and mid. That's what we're seeing. He threatened, he pinged there. It was going to come up and harass the Sonya, went back mid, just threatening both lanes there. And we're going to see an attempt here to maybe grab NSJ. The Pulse Bomb is available, but all the healing output here from Stukov, Coach, I think is better, but just threatens it here. They're trying to gain control of this bot shrine. The top shrine already controlled. And Confidence body blocked here, and reset just with that extra damage that Rhaegar provides and the ability to rotate through quickly. Be the first pick of the game for him. So you can see the top lane, the shrine is being let go for just a moment. Rich is going to go up and just squat it to hold on to that there.
As you said, we just saw there on the main screen, we have reset going up on the Rhaegar, who will try and help there. But we have both of the shrines now being channeled by MVP Black. As Stronger just kind of maintain here in the middle. Reset using that lightning shield to try and do a little bit of additional damage as Johanna walks away.
Just going to be threatening that Dragon Knight channel. Not going to actually happen. Look at this grenade, though. NSJ, no way out of this one. Pulse Bomb will help get some wave clear here, but not required for that pick, as again, Deadlykittens rotated all of their power to the top lane because there's no way Inavir can actually take this away from Rich in this situation, just in the 1v1 matchup there with the squat. So when they rotate up, they're vulnerable. Black strikes. Speaking of vulnerable, Stronger, is he going to get over the wall here? Oh, gets over the wall. Aldruin's predicted. And he commits. No ammo.
Tist going in there, and Inavir's in all... Well, I take that back. I was going to say, I don't know if you can actually survive that. Rich did go. The cooldown reduction on his
man,
charge
this is risky. Look at Rich. This is something you'd see on his stream, his personal stream, where he baited confidence there so hard. I guarantee that was a call-out from Deadlykittens saying, yo, he's coming. He's not mid. You should get back, even though Rich looks like a juicy target here, so good call to retreat there. But that's something you see in Rich's stream all the time in solo queue, is just these plays that look incredible where he baits somebody, has faith in his teammates. So we'll be able to get the channel off of this pick. And now, this is the first Dragon Knight of the game, marching down mid. They have this talent tier advantage, looking for a structural lead further than they already have with this as well. And the Deadlykittens, you know, they're just going to have to sit back and defend. NSJ caught here. Good heal coming out from Jinwoo, though. Just barely keeps him alive.
Jinwoo, the ultimate sacrifice there.
Yeah.
NSJ is going to go down. And I want to talk about something. I want to touch on something the analyst panel said was the cooldown reduction. We see the cooldown reduction on charge from Butcher, and of course the Heraldric Reforging by Tyria, which means that so long as he hits with that sword going out, he has cooldown, and when Butcher lands his charge, he gets cooldown. So playing around the lurking arm is going to be something very difficult, because when you get those cooldowns off of those two abilities on the side of MVP Black, that lurking arm might not be there the second time. It's going to make it a lot easier to re-engage.
Yeah, especially the charge one is the one you want to interrupt if you can. So we just see additional wave clear coming out here with Lightning Bond for reset. Just clearing this so quickly. That's one of the things that this comp was lacking from MVP Black. That's why they picked Rhaegar. You know, if they weren't going to go towards the Butcher comp, it's not strong with Tracer, but the wave clear is strong, you know, with Rhaegar in general as a support, and it's obviously going to be able to use Ancestral to great effect post-10, as this map is certainly heading there. This is one of the longest maps in the pool currently. Tist with the Noblesse invade there, trying to trick them to think there's more there, but Deadlykittens does not fall for it.
I mean, when you've got the coach, you got Noblesse as your coach, you better be picking up some of those tricks. Quick update, 96 stacks on that fresh meat for Butcher. Still 100 plus away. Once he reaches those 200, he gets that extra damage. He gets that extra attack speed, which is when he really comes online. Speaking of coming online, we got 10, and we got ourselves a Stim Drone.
Okay, Stim Drone's coming through here. Big slows coming down here. There's the lurking arm onto Tist. Is going to have to kite back here right now. They're not going to commit any further than the Stim Drone. Bloodlust looks to be considered here for reset. I think that that would be a very showy move if they do commit to it. He's waiting for a potential fight where it could gain value. We'll be able to lock in the Ancestral as well in a crisis moment. I think it will 90% be that Ancestral, though.
Look, when you iron skin a pulse bomb, you throw down the spray. You take everything you can possibly get as Deadlykittens. Holding on, trying to get 10. We got the dive under. They've got minions that are going to be there eating those shots. That's going to be a...
That's a lamb to the slaughter.
It's going to be a dead Sonya.
Yeah. She was the lamb.
Sonya to the slaughter.
Reset rotates up. You get the silence off. No 10. Nowhere to hide. She has to be there. They lose too much experience, but a good rotation here. Burst heal onto NSJ early this time. Parting Gift nearly helps finish him off. They're going to trade this. But again, trades at this stage, especially with the top lane pressure, are not enough for Deadlykittens. It just feels like a consolation prize only. Sake threatening here. Will finish his talent.
Does give you the XP that they desperately need right now. There's the slow. The lurking arm gonna thwart the Tyrael attack with no extra damage there. But we saw the ping on the mini-map. That was the Butcher and company stealing the night camp away from the side of Deadlykittens.
So much pressure gained while Deadlykittens is trading that pick, and that's what Black is going for. It's amazing if they get the kill and, you know, Kocha gets away, but in this case with the trade, they still win out. Deadlykittens only just now getting level 10. Second Dragon Knight goes to Black, and it looks like they want to be aggressive with it, heading down, threatening that mid-keep. They do not want to go super late game here. They just want to finish this as soon as possible. This is going to force rotation here from Deadlykittens. We actually have the Butcher coming down here as well. Rich has come up, so not going to be trading experience. So what they can do, because the Butcher does so much damage, he's got such a large attack speed as well, more stacks he gets, especially once he finishes his quest. He's almost like his own mini Dragon Knight, so they're going to do damage here in 2 lanes.
If Butcher gets stacked late game and you get bonus stacks after you hit that 200, he's going in. There's the lamb to the slaughter. There's a dead follow. Butcher now sitting at 169, almost
very, very
mark.
close.
Then he does become the Dragon Knight.
He could almost theoretically get stronger than the Dragon Knight at some points, depending on how he builds. As Jinwoo's now going to be the next target. Pulse Bomb comes through. This is a slaughter. And this actually could end up being game if Deadlykittens can't push this out. Keep is very healthy still, though, so MVP Black needs to be careful not to overextend. They want to get those kills to try to end this early. Perfect grenade there onto Inavir.
Rich now sitting at 200 stacks, which means that even if he dies, they no longer go, and it's only up from here. That's going to be a bonus 10. Sitting at 210. They do not get the keep, however.
They don't get the keep. They
got
play
a 3-level lead, though.
Yeah, they got a 3-level lead. Kills stack up. Didn't win this as hard as they wanted to, but Ancestral, again, that's why we knew that was very likely going to be the case. That keeps Rich alive. The stacks come through. Do want to point out something that we have new in the UI since HGC, of course, is the kill feed that shows the quest completion. So the stuff you guys see on the left side of your screen is showing when the quests are completed or sometimes when they are lost on death, for example, things like that. So you can kind of track that live now. So that's one of the new features we've got in the UI. And one of my favorites because it makes my job as a caster so much easier. Although I know you've got your screen right next to me, I can see exactly where everyone's at right now.
System over here as I've got all the talents up here, but see Stronger and team trying to get a little bit of wave clear, trying to make sure and get some XP. So far, the last Dragon Knight, they weren't able to contest. They're going to try and make what could be one of their last stands of the series with Butcher so high stacked. You get another kill or two like they had last time, it'll definitely be game. Where it's up to Deadlykittens to try and make something happen, but they've got a night camp and a siege camp that are posturing up in the bot lane.
Yeah, I mean, they have Vala, they have Taster to try to clear this up. It's a good comp that can deal with things like this defensively, but once the gate goes down, I mean, this is going to be the floodgates open. Here comes the charge in. Good Iron Skin to deny it. Very well played.
The force wall there forced the repathing of Butcher. Again, the Iron Skin was there, but it was just, it's fun to watch.
Yeah, well, I mean, two quick reactions there from Deadlykittens. Charging on cooldown for a little bit longer here. They need to stay so far back. Look at NSJ's positioning right now. I am worried. Look at that. Lamb to Slaughter over the wall here. That's the target. That's what I'm talking about. You position yourself like that, you are going to get punished. Look at this, knocking him into the edge of that pulse bomb. That's 2 dead here. Rich is just picking up the pieces, the fresh meat stacks here. Stronger in danger. That Sentry Cannon Tower is out of ammo. Ooh. The flail is going to keep them away for now, but again, more and more stacks. He's at 230 currently.
That was a very well-timed flailing swipe, because Stronger would have gone down there as he's going in a little bit. Again, getting that level 7 talent on the punish there from Johanna. They're looking for the re-engage. I don't think they're going to find it. They did take down the Tracer in that fight. However, they do still find themselves down 3 full levels and looking for some...
Yeah, I think Jinwoo is one of the MVPs of this game for sure. Like, he's actually been able to, with these lurking arms, prevent the unthinkable. Those lurking arms have really been quite well placed. And so I think that it's pretty impressive at this point that Deadlykittens still has all keeps alive. We are going to see this Unleash of the Dragon Knight attempted as Rich does survive here. They're going to lose it, though. But yeah, I think that having all keeps up does give them a chance back into this game.
Plus Shield going to buy a little bit of time, but they have no fort to go back to. NSJ gets the shield at the last moment, but he will go down. Butcher on the retreat for the moment. He'll have that re-engage. There's the insta-heal. He is so far stacked. Inavir on the left side will go down, but the action here on the right, the jukes from Tassadar, but Jinwoo and team in all kinds of troubles. The pulse bomb's going to hit, get the takedown onto Stukov, and a beautiful holy ground and body block by the rest of the team. MVP Black, they look kind of good right now.
They certainly do. This is one of those moments where you watch MVP Black or any other, tier 1 team from any of the big 4 regions where you see plays like this happen. It just feels like the dominoes were laid out by Deadlykittens and it was just pushed over, and you just watch the beauty of the collapse there as all teammates go down. Tist going to Hearth perfectly in time with this channel, which is going to give the Dragon Knight over to, looks like Reset will channel it here. And that is just going to be, it feels like at this moment in time, walking down the red carpet. The defense for Deadlykittens has been great thus far, but the Butcher scaling is coming through. We're talking 260 stacks at this moment in time. The Dragon Knight scaling coming through.
The Dragon Knight scaling at this point is almost identical to the Butcher. I say that lightly, but watch when he auto-attacks these structures. It is wrecking the health bars.
Got 2
Butcher
Dragon Knights.
alone. 2 Dragon Knights. We've got another charge. Nice force wall going to buy a few moments. Lamb to the Slaughter will pick up a Tassadar. Flailing swipe in return. It's only buying just a moment. Inavir surviving.
He does survive here, but the core is soon to be under attack. Everyone is very low. They need to get Inavir back to the Hall of Storms. He doesn't have time to get to the Hall of Storms, though. Good defensive setup here, though, from Stronger. He's slowing everyone down. He's keeping them off of the core, but picks are coming through. Great sanctification here. Inavir is the next target. Does heal himself up there with Whirlwind. Good lurking arm, but it's just a little bit too late here. And I think this is going to be the 2-0 as more and more carnage is on the board here, Jao.
Fresh meat for everybody, as that's going to be a final kill count of 24 for MVP Black, taking a 2-0 in our first series here against Deadlykittens.
It was a series where we saw some flair from this team. We saw the first butcher of the tournament, the first butcher for MVP Black this year in terms of professional play, but something they've gone back to, something Rich, when he was using the ID Oreo Man, used back on Snake in 2015, one of his favorite heroes on stream. And it just feels like fan service in a way with how they took this 2-0.
I will personally thank him for playing my favorite hero here on stream. So definitely a very good showing from MVP Black. And I think it's to be expected. Deadlykittens, they even said in their pregame interview, hey, look, we've played them several times a year. We're not looking forward to playing against them. They're looking towards the later part of their Group A bracket. But we are going to have the congratulations here as MVP Black goes over. But I want to hear what Dreadnought thinks about my favorite hero with Calaris and crew back at the analyst desk.
That's right. Thank you very much, gentlemen, as a swift 2-0 there for MVP Black with that Butcher Flare as Jay Howe was nerding out there for a moment, loving it, loving it. And let's go to Dread. What do you think of the Butcher, as Jay Howe so eloquently asked you?
I mean, I think it's a, rather creative adjustment to be able to deal with the Sonya 1v1, but if I'm on the, hype train at the same level as Jay Howe, I can put it as a solid nah.
Okay. I can appreciate that. But before we hear more thoughts on this series, let's head over to Kevin, who's at the stage for an interview.
Thank you so much, Calaris. And yes, I'm here with none other than the frontline melee from MVP Black. This is Rich. Rich, congratulations on your win. I have to say, when everyone saw you lock in the Butcher in that game, they were very excited. Is that something we think we'll see more from you in this tournament?
우승 먼저 축하드립니다. 그리고 뱀픽 상황에서 도살자를 선택하셨는데요. 앞으로 대회에서도 자주 볼 수 있는 픽인지 좀 궁금합니다.
도살자 같은 경우는 유럽에 있는 팀 엑스퍼트랑 연습할 때 소냐 카운터로 엑스퍼트에서 먼저 썼어요. 그래가지고 그걸 따라 썼는데 그래도 약간 불안정한 게 있어서 자주 쓰진 않을 것 같아요.
He actually used the pick during the practice from an expert to basically counter pick the Sonya. But he still feels that it's kind of not stable right now, so he's not sure he's going to pick again.
All right. Well, there's no question that other teams, as well as the public at large, know that MVP Black is heavily favored to go far in this tournament. I want to hear from you specifically, though. What is it that you think makes your team so strong when compared against the others?
지금 대부분의 시청자분들이랑 지금 경기를 보시는 분들이 지금 MVP 블랙을 유력한 우승 후보로 보고 있는데 혹시 그렇게 보시는 데의 이유가 뭐라고 생각하시나요?
그냥 저희 팀이 성적이 좋았던 것도 있고 이번엔 진짜 연습을 많이 했기 때문에 그런 것 같아요.
Our team has a very good past winning streak, and we practice very hard, and that's I think the main reason.
All right. Well, I can't wait to see more games from you. Fantastic play. Congratulations, and all the best as you continue to move forward in this group stage. Thank you. All right, folks, that is match number 1, all in the books for the HGC Finals. We got a short break. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Is easy to take out here. It's fodder for MVP Black. 12 seconds for Dahaka. They can't lose anyone else.
They can't lose anybody else, and that's going to be Lucio going down. The keep's going to fall. Jinwoo's going to be the next to fall. They'll get through this keep. They'll turn their eyes towards the core. There's heavy impact showing its impact.
Making a big impact. Core protected, by the way. They will have to kill that keep first, but now it's open. We're going to see Inavir just try to buy a little bit of time here for his teammates.
That extra range. Inavir's getting racked in that back line there.
That's going to be the victory here. Stronger body blocked out, and now they just have to...
2017 Heroes Global Championship Finals are brought to you in part by Republic of Gamers, Intel,